Come along with me. I want to show you how we're doing our morning time with all of our Not Consumed Bible products. So first of all, we do our Bible time a little bit differently this year than I have in the past. We do it in my kitchen. We used to do it in the living room. Now we do it here at this little table, and I have a reason for that, because when I used to do it in the living room, it was comfy. It was a little bit too comfy at times. Sometimes my teenager would lay down and cuddle up with her blanket. They wouldn't always be diligent about grabbing their Bibles and opening them and following along. If they had a rough night, it was easy for them to just get all relaxed and maybe not pay attention and partially fall asleep, which we don't want. So I started having us sit at the table so everybody's sitting up and alert. And actually, a lot of days, my daughters took the game with them, but a lot of days we've been starting with board games, not just on Friday, not just on special days, but if they're sitting here at the table at 8 o'clock, I'll sit down and play a game with them. And maybe I'll even play the game until 9 o'clock rather than starting our Bible study right away at 8:30. It just kind of depends what the game is. I've been playing Tetris a lot lately. It's a board game, strategic board game. It's like our newest addiction. So I sit here. This is like the fancy office chair for a reason, because sometimes the kitchen chairs get uncomfortable on the bum after a while. So we have an office chair here. Whoever sits down at the table first usually is the one to claim it, unless mom pulls seniority rank and says, nope, I'm taking it. But I start over here. I don't really have a neat way to keep all of this stuff. I have thought about it. This is just how it is right now. It stays out on the table. I have my Faithipedia and where we're at, my magazine file here full of all of the other books. We have colored pens here for when there's little coloring things in their journal, and then we also have another jar of pens and scissors and whatever else we may need, easily accessible here. So all of the things that I have for our Bible time besides Bibles, I keep their Faithipedia journals right here. So that's kind of a handy little slot here. See? And then over here I have a Charles Spurgeon morning and evening devotional. In my magazine file is the church history book that I've told you about. And when we get to the part of the timeline about how we got the Bible, I have these little pamphlets that tell a little bit more information about that. These are from a seminary, I can't remember which one, a seminary in Louisville, Kentucky, from their bookstore. I have our Sunday school curriculum that we do. We're in week 5 right now. And then our journals. These are for our personal time. So this journal is from Cultivate What Matters. This is my journal, and then each of my kids has a journal here from Not Consumed. So these are kind of the things that I use almost everything, almost daily. There are other pieces to our Bible time that I use periodically. So like on Friday or maybe on our family co-op day, or maybe even on one of our school break. We're still going to do Bible even if we have school breaks, so we might do a different Bible study. For example, at Christmas time, we did the Not Consumed Christmas Countdown, Mercies at the Manger, which highly recommend. It was on sale for like $5, a booklet just recently, so use the link below. Make sure you use my link so they know who sent them. But they do have periodic sales where they're trying to get rid of inventory because maybe they want to update the things. But the Christmas countdown was very, very cool. Back here in this little hallway where I've told you before I have my bulletin boards, I also have this 3-basket thing. I don't know what it's called. But this is where we keep our extra Bible studies that we might not use every day, but they're kind of close by, but not, like, they're tidy, but they're not cluttering up my, curriculum, those magazine files that can get full very quickly. So this is a very handy place to keep these. So we've got our Who is God study. My older two have notebooks that go with this. And then this Not Consumed study that we started at the end of last year, we got halfway through, and then we got sidetracked with something else. But we are going to come back to this because this has been a very good study for understanding why you believe what you believe. It wasn't something where you needed to do the whole thing to get like one central theme. Each page was kind of its own little doctrinal thing. So I felt like it was okay that we paused on this for now, but it is here. We're going to go back to that very soon. So for now, when we sit down at the table, this is usually where I sit. My teen sits there, my son sits there, my little one sits there. We start off our morning time with our personal devotionals. So I pass out the devotionals, and then I usually grab my phone and I will play some hymns or some instrumental Christian music. It will take about 10 or 15 minutes to work in our journals. My Write the Word journal from Cultivate What Matters is pretty simple. You really don't even need the journal. You could do this in any notebook, but it just says, what's today, what I'm grateful for, and you literally write out these scriptures, and then write what's on your heart for the day, and then there's a word for the day. So this is pretty basic. Anybody could probably do this, but I will link Cultivate What Matters below in case you would like to check it out. I want to say this journal, though, was $15 to $25. It's pretty nice, though. I mean, it's not leather, but this is a very nice material, and the gold foiling on it, it's good quality. So what's inside these journals? So I mentioned in my mid-year update that I did run across what the actual difference was between the boy journal and the girl journal. So let me show you exactly what I mean. So this is like the type of page where it's nice for me to have all these colored pens handy for them. And a lot of times they will work on this when I'm reading from the church history book, which I'll talk about here in a minute. Let's see. Okay, so here's an example of the exact same prompts, but the boy journal is animals and the girl journal is flowers. But the prompt is the same. So it says, in the flowers, write the truth about your beauty, what unique or special things make you a wonderful work, and write about it. So they're writing inside the flowers, and let's see, his says, in the animals, write the truth about who you are, what unique or special things make you a wonderful work, and write about. So see, exact same instructions. And then even this part, reach out on the back of your verse card, which we don't have verse cards that I know of, and his says the exact same thing. And then on the next page, this is my youngest daughter's, draw or write Romans 5:8. So my little one decided to draw it, and my son decided to write it. But you can see they're the exact same things. And then the next page, pretty much the same prompts again. So make a list of some of the most valuable things on earth. So his is just a list, whereas the girl one actually has diamond shapes here. So yeah, these have been just really fun. My little one, I said in my mid-year review, she loves doing this journal. And if I skip it one morning, she gets very disappointed. So we do that for about 15 minutes, and then I say, okay, close your journals, let me gather them. I gather them, I put them away in here. The next thing we will do is our Sunday school, or maybe we'll read a devotional, or maybe we also do a Bible study on Tuesdays with my parents where we're studying Psalm 119, and everybody's assigned a verse to study and find cross-references for. So sometimes we'll go over those verses. If there's an attitude problem that I need to deal with on the spot, I will deal with that during this time. So this is where we're going to get into our Bible and deal with whatever it is we need to deal with. We don't necessarily do this every morning anymore because we might do it at night with my husband also. But I have done a video on this Bible curriculum. This is the 7th year we have used it. It's a classical style curriculum, so we're on year 1, and so this is the 3rd time that we have done year 1, which means that all of the things that this curriculum covers, my children now are on the 3rd time. Hopefully they're going to start remembering a lot of these details and maybe can start digging deeper into the spiritual truths behind them. So I highly recommend the classical approach when it comes to Bible study. So after we do some sort of Bible study, then we're going to do our Faithipedia. So then I'm going to pull out our Faithipedia journals and I'm going to hand them out to all my kids. They've still got their Bibles ready to go because sometimes they need to look up something. But this is so short and sweet. So right now we are on week 5, the book of Acts. So this bookmark here marks what week we're on. Oops, I didn't do it though. So my daughter will need to move her bookmark next week. But then she'll get the sticker for week 5. It'll say the book of Acts and which number book it is in the Bible. All the stickers are at the front of the book right here, so they're not going to mess up because they're all in order, right? And then it's the 5th book of the Bible. This has just been super, super easy and super quick. Like I told you, it takes about 10 minutes. We'll read this. If there's anything here that I need to discuss in detail, I will. Like a word or something that we don't understand, I can go into detail about it. But otherwise, I read what's here. And then these verses down here, most loved verses. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I will literally go around and say, Drew, you look up Acts 1, verse 8. Natalie, look up Acts 2, verse 4. And I'll have her read verse 4 and 42. Juliana, read Acts 4:12. And I will look up Acts 20:28. And that's how we even get through the reading pretty quickly. And then they will write their little blurb in here, and we're done. So how I incorporate the church history book then, we are going along with this as the timeline goes along. So I will show you last week's timeline. We were on, let's see, Nero persecuted the Christians, Peter and Paul executed, destruction of Jerusalem, separation of Christianity, Judaism, Ignatius, bishop. So see, we're at 108 AD. Polycarp encourages Christians, conversion of Constantine, Edict of Milan, Christianity in Rome, Council of Nicaea, and Athanasius letters, however you say that. So anyway, in 1 week we've gotten all the way up to 367. During one of our other timeline weeks, I can't tell you what week it was, but whatever our timeline events were, it went along perfectly with everything that was here in chapter 1. So chapter 1 was the Gospels, the Apostles, and then what? And it tells you you're covering AD 64 to AD 177 and these major events. So you could read the whole chapter, which I don't know how many pages it is. Let's see. How many pages was that? About 10 pages. You could read the whole chapter in one sitting, or you could take like the next week after you talk about your timeline and maybe a little bit every single day, which is what I've been doing this week. The first week I read the whole chapter, but you could say, I'm just going to read today about Emperor Nero. So we've got who were the Christians anyway, and then down here we have a little bit about Nero and what the early Christians endured. You've got some old world maps here telling you some of these ancient cities that we're talking about, all the way to the destruction of Jerusalem, a little old world map showing some of this history here. So how did the church grow? It's all very interesting stuff. Now, I don't know if my kids would say that they're absorbing it all, but for Mom, I'm telling you, I love this book so much. This section right here was about how they used to throw the early Christians, and have them slaughtered by bulls, in the center of a coliseum or something. This is a story of a martyr and how she would not recant her faith. So there's some of that in there. If you wanted to, honestly, you guys, this probably could be an entire history course if you wanted it to be. I can't get into all these details, but if you get this book, before I show you chapter 2, in the back of the book, there are worksheets if you wanted to work through worksheets. There's also an entire lesson plan if you wanted to do this for your church, or if you wanted to make this a co-op study, or maybe a high school course or something. So you can see here in chapter 1, everybody comes having read chapter 1. You do a discussion and a review session, and here's your session guide. Supplies that you might need, how you need to prepare for it, and then an agenda for how you could run it with worship, your learning activity. But see, this is 30 to 40 minutes. That's why I was okay, this could be a co-op course or a high school course, but this is all in there. And I'm pretty sure that if you look online, which I will link below, if you wanted to do that, where you want to turn this particular book into a whole course, they have DVDs, they have all of these extra activities to help you do that. So it really could be a whole study. I just am only using the book and reading the book, but I'm not gonna lie, it's crossed my mind thinking, maybe when my daughters are in high school, maybe we'll make this one of their history courses again, and we'll reuse it and get some of those extra activities in there. So we'll see. So this week, I was okay, we need to go to chapter 2, and I noticed that none of the events that were on this timeline were in chapter 2. I think they were actually already in chapter 3. See Constantine, and see the dates here, 247 to 420. So the chapters don't go exactly along with the Bible timeline, but as long as you're getting into this book on a weekly basis and maybe just reading a small section at a time, you're going to be able to talk about these events in more detail than what this page is going to give you. And then if you saw my video where I gave you a flip through Faithipedia, you see that there's also prominent Christian people through the world, like missionaries, or just like C.S. Lewis or Jonathan Edwards described in this book. Those people will likely also be in here. I know Jonathan Edwards is in here. I don't know about C.S. Lewis. But also, we're just getting a ton of Christian history, because these journals also have people in them, like we just read the other day. Okay, so this is what my son did while I was reading the Christian history, from the Christian history book. They were coloring in their journals, because they can color and listen at the same time. And they actually remember a lot more because their hands are busy doing mindless work. But I would stop periodically and ask them questions about what I just read, and they were all answering them. But on the other side to this page, this is my daughter's. I said my son, this is not my son's page, this is my daughter's page, because only she would put polka dots all over a paragraph. But we just read about this person who was in a Japanese internment camp during World War II. So her story was very interesting. Just little bits of people throughout all of Christian history, not consumed with. Between the journal, Faithipedia, and this book, we're getting a lot of history about our faith, which is awesome, which I did not mention in my mid-year review, because I just mentioned missionary stories we were doing as part of my daughter's history. I didn't even think about, but we're getting history from this and from Faithipedia, also. So we're getting a lot of church history this year from various places. If you want to take a closer look at the Faithipedia, check out this video. If you want to take a closer look at some of these other Not Consumed products that maybe I didn't show here, check out this video. And until next time, bye.